today we are going to solve some numerical problems based on the transformer, single phase transformer, and after that we will study the basic concepts of DC machines. Okay, in DC machines there will be DC motor and DC generator. In case of DC machines, we have to supply the DC source. Okay, DC source means plus minus. This is the voltage source, DC voltage source. Let us say 5 volt. That is the DC source. Between these two terminals, this will be grounded, and this will be the live conductor. So the potential across these two terminals will be your VDC, and that can be 5 volts, 10 volts, etc. So first of all, let us start with the examples of transformer. Okay, so this is the first example in which they have given the number of turns of primary and secondary windings as NP equals to 60 and S equals to 100. Okay, means N1 and N2 are given. If N2 is your secondary winding and N1 is the primary winding turn. Okay, then the secondary voltage is given as 250 volts. V2 or Vs equals to 250 volts, then we have to calculate the primary voltage. Primary or voltage or V1 will be how much? So V1 by V2 equals to N1 by N2. So how to calculate V1? V1 equal to V2 N1 by N2. How much is the V2? V2 is 250 volts into N1 is 60 divided by 100. That much will be the primary voltage. That will be the answer. Okay. Next question. The number of primary and secondary winding turns are 100. N1 is 100, N2 is 350 respectively. Then the primary voltage is given by V1 is given as 200 volts. Then find out the secondary voltage. Again, you can write the equation like this: V1 by V2 equals to N1 by N2, such that V2 will be what? V1 by N1 into N2. So V2 will be N1 100 by 350. Sorry, V1. Okay, 200 divided by 100 into 350. That much will be the voltage. As you know that number of turns in the secondary winding is greater than the number of turns in the primary winding, and hence you will get more voltage in the secondary winding as compared to the voltage in the primary winding. Now coming to the next example, a transformer has 600 turns of primary winding. So N1 will be 600 and 20 turns of the secondary winding. Then N2 will be what? 20 turns. Okay, then determine the secondary voltage, means we have to calculate V2. If the secondary circuit is open, means this is the transformer, this is the primary circuit through which you have to apply the AC source, and that is the V1, and this is the primary winding, and these two terminals are open circuited, means no load is connected. Then this will be the V2. So we have to calculate the V2 as the secondary side is open circuited, and hence V2 will be equals to induced EMF E2, because there is no flow of current, means I2 is 0. When I2 is 0, then the V drop at the secondary side will be 0. I2 Z2 will be 0 obviously, and hence E2 will be equals to V2. Okay, so what it is asking, yes, if the secondary circuit is open and the primary voltage is 140 volt. Again, you please apply the same formula: V1 by V2 equals to N1 by N2. So that V2 will be what? V1 by N1 into N2. And what is V1? V1 is 140 divided by N1. How much is N1? 600 into 20. So that will be the V2 volts. V2 equals to 4.6. So here you can see that N1, N2 is less than N1, and hence V2 will be less than the V1 voltage. In the next example, a transformer has a primary coil with 1600 loops, means 1600 number of turns will be there in the primary side, and the secondary coil with 1000 loops means N2 is 1000. Okay, then if the current in the primary coil is 6 amperes, then what is the current in the secondary coil? I mean I2 we have to calculate. So you know that N1 by N2 equals to I2 by I1 using the turns ratio. So we have to calculate I2. So I2 will be N1 by N2 into I1. So I2 will be what? 1600 divided by 1000 into 6. So I2 will be that much ampere. Okay, and that is the answer. Did you understand these 3 to 4 questions? Yeah, please reply, Sudhakar, Deepak. These are the simple questions. I think you understood the solutions. Okay. Next, I'm going to the next example. In this question, an ideal transformer is given. Ideal transformer means what? V1 will be equals to E1 and V2 will be equals to E2, and the voltage drops in a primary winding will be 0. Voltage drop in the secondary winding will be 0. Okay. So an ideal transformer is connected to 240 volts mains, supplies a 12 volt 150 watt lamp. This is the ideal transformer. So it is connected through what? 240 volt supply. That is the V1, and this is the secondary side. Okay, and in secondary side they have connected one lamp is the load. So load is getting how much? V2 of 12 volts, and T2 will be 150 watt, means the lamp is consuming power of 150 watt. Then we have to calculate the transformer turns ratio, N1 by N2 you have to calculate, and the current taken from the supply means I1 we have to calculate. So how to calculate these things? First they have given V1 equals to 240 and V2 equals to 12 volt. So and power is given T2 equals to V2 I2. Okay, and how to calculate I2? I2 will be equals to what? T2 by V2. V2 is 150 and V2 is how much? 12 volts. So you will get 12.5 amperes. Okay, here you already got. Then turns ratio will be what? N1 by N2 equals to V1 by V2. V1 and V2 are given, so you will get turns ratio as 20. After that, how to calculate the I1 using the this relation? N1 by N2 equals to V1 by V2, and that will be equals to I2 by I1. So using this relation, you can get the value of I1. I2 already you got 12.5 amperes, and and V1 are already there. Okay, so 12.5 into 12 by 240, that much current you will get in the secondary side, 0.625 amperes. That will be the answer. Next, a 5 kVA single transformer. Okay, single phase transformer. This is the single phase. All are single phase transformer only. Okay, a 5 kVA. 5 kVA means the output rated capacity. The output is 5 kVA. kVA means kilovolts amperes. So volt ampere is the unit of apparent power. S. Apparent power S equals to what? Vrms into Irms at the secondary side. Secondary side means the load side. So that will be 2 and this will be the 2. S will be what? 5 into 10 to the power 3 volts amperes they have given. Okay, and this is the rated capacity of the transformer. Then this transformer has a turns ratio of 10:1, means N1 by N2 is 10 by 1. Okay, and is fed from a 2.5 kV supply, means V1 is 2.5 kilovolts. Then neglecting the losses means you have to neglect copper losses and iron losses. Okay, then determine, first thing they are asking, the full load secondary current. I2 full load means the rated current that is flowing through the load from its secondary side. So how to calculate the I2? I2 full load means we have to consider the V2 full load. Okay, so first of all let us calculate the V2 full load. As the rated supply is 2.5 kV and they have given this ratio, so using the same relation this relation you can calculate V2, and that will be the V2 full load rated voltage across the load terminals. Then they have given V2 I2 at the full load case. V2 I2 will be what? These are the RMS values of voltage and current, okay? And that will be 5 kVA, 5K. And you already got V2 value as 250. Then I2 full load will be how much? 5000 divided by the value of V2, and that is 250. So you will get I2 equals to 20 amperes, and that is the rated current at the secondary side that is flowing through the load. After that, what they have asked, yeah, the minimum load resistance which can be connected across the secondary winding, means the load consists of resistive element only, okay, and that's value is R1 RL, and we have to calculate, okay. So how much is the RL value that is connected across the secondary winding to give the full load kVA, means if it is consuming power loss full load or S full load. S is the apparent power, okay. S will be how much? V2 RMS into I2 RMS, and that should be full load, such that what is the value of minimum resistance, okay. So how to calculate this? Obviously you have got V2 and I2, so it is the ratio of V2 and I2, V2 RMS by I2 RMS. V2 is 250 and I2 is 20, so you will get RL equals to 12.5, and that is the minimum load resistance. Next, what is the primary current at the full load kVA? At full load kVA means S is the full apparent power. It is consuming full load apparent power. Okay, so I2 will be full load, V2 will be full load. Already you got these two values. Then using this relation, you can calculate the I1 full load or the rated current that is taken from the supply, and that will be I2 into N2 by N1, and that will be 2 ampere of current. These are the answers. Did you understand these? Yeah, please reply, Sudhakar, Deepak. Yeah, let me continue with the second example related to the efficiency of transformer. A single phase, or in this question, a single phase 90 kVA, 3.2 kV by 220 volts, 50 hertz transformer is given. Okay, means the rated output capacity of the transformer is 90 kVA. And 3.2 kV by 220 volts. 3.2 means 3200 volts by 220 volts, means this is the primary voltage and this is the secondary voltage. The primary voltage is 3200, means V1 is greater than V2, so obviously the voltage is getting stepped down, and that's why it is a step down transformer. Okay, so a step down transformer is given, and this is the single phase transformer, and 90 kVA is what the rated capacity. S rated capacity means this will be equals to 90 kVA equals to V2 RMS into I2 RMS. Okay, I2 RMS. So these are the data given in the question. After that, what they are asking, this transformer has 89% of efficiency. 89% of efficiency at unity power factor, means cos pi is unity, both at the two cases, means at full load when the X is 1, and at half load means 50% of the load when the X is 0.5, right? So the efficiency will be how much? 89%. Efficiency means what? Output power by input power into 100. Okay, so how to so this is the condition, means efficiency at 100% of load equals to efficiency at 50% of load, and that will be how much? 89%. They have already given. So first of all, we have to find out the iron loss and core losses. Okay, using this equation, here X is at 100% of load, X is 1, and that's why Vi cos phi divided by Vi cos phi plus Pi plus Pcu. These two are the losses, and this is the power consumed by the load, P RMS secondary side. and that is equals to the efficiency at 50% of the load, means x equals to zero point 0.5 in this case, and these two are equal. So vi cos phi will get cancelled. So after solving these two equations you will get this condition, means copper loss is equals to 2 times of the iron loss. Then put this condition either in this equation or in this equation, such that you will get the values of PCU and PI. Okay, so we are putting these two values at this equation, means efficiency at 100%. So obviously x will be 1 in this case at the full load condition. So efficiency at 100% case will be what, 89% only. So this will be 89%. So putting these values you will get iron loss this much, and the copper loss will be 2 times of the iron loss, and that will be this much of watt. Okay, now at the 70% of the full load condition, means x is zero point 0.7. Okay, 70% of the full load condition, and cos phi is power factor is what, zero point 0.8. Then how much is the efficiency we have to calculate? So use the same equation, x vi cos phi divided by x vi cos phi plus pi plus x square time of PCU. Okay, already you got these values pi and PCU at the full load conditions. Okay, so you just put these values and x will be zero point 0.7. Then you will get efficiency at 70% of load condition. The efficiency will be what, 87.28%, and that is the answer. Means when you are utilizing the 70% of the rated capacity of the transformer, then you will get 87.28% of efficiency. So that is the thing. Next, now the transformer topic is over. Okay, coming to the DC machine part. So in DC machine, today I'm giving you just brief introduction regarding the DC machines. After that, we will see some numerical questions. So there will be two kinds of DC machines. First is DC motor or DC motor, and the second is that DC generator. Okay. Yes. This is the DC generator, and this figure relates to the DC motor. What are the DC machine? Let us say this is the DC machine. Okay. This is input and this is the output. What will be the input? Plus minus V1, output will be plus minus V2. Input current is I1 and output current is I2. From here you will connect your what, load, DC load. Obviously DC load will be what, resistive type only, RL. So you will get the terminal voltage as V2 and the terminal current as I2 only. Okay, and RL will be what, the ratio of V2 by I2. Okay, so in case of DC, yeah, in case of DC motor, okay, so the input will be what, if it is DC motor, this is the input side and that is the output side. Now in case of machines, okay, yeah, these are the field windings. Let us say this is the field winding. In the field winding, you have to supply the current such that there will be the magnetic flux inside the machine. Okay, such that you will get the induced EMF or back EMF. So here in case of a DC motor you have to supply electric energy, and you will get mechanical energy as the output. Okay, so this system is what, electromechanical energy conversion device or machine, electromechanical energy conversion device or machine. But in case of generator, Generator means what? Generator will generate electric form of energy. No. If it is generator, DC generator, so at the input side we have to apply mechanical energy through the shaft. Okay, and we have to excite the machine using the field windings such that there will be the generation of magnetic flux, and in the output side you will get electrical energy, such that this system is called as electromechanical energy conversion device or machine. And inside the machine, obviously Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction will happen, such that you will get induced EMF as T phi NZ upon 60A. We will see this formula later, and that will be the induced EMF. In case of the generator, obviously induced EMF will be there, such that you will get V2 and I2 at the output side. But in case of a motor, back EMF will be called as induced EMF because it will oppose its cause. Okay. Because in case of a motor, we are supplying electrical energy at its input side. So obviously back EMF will be generated that will oppose its cause, and such that there will be the rotation of the rotating parts, and you will get the mechanical output such as torque. Okay, torque and speed. Your mechanical energy will be measured in terms of torque T and speed n. Speed n or omega. That is the angular velocity. Omega can be measured in terms of radian per second. Okay, and electrical energy will be measured in terms of voltage, current, or power. Okay, or energy. These things are there. So slowly we will see the things. So let us see what is the DC machine. So there are two types of DC machines. First, the DC generator, and the second is DC motor. In case of, I already told you that the DC generator will generate electrical energy, and it will take the mechanical form of energy as at its input. So rotation will be there. Obviously, rotation will be there means speed will be there, omega will be there, and the torque will be there. Okay, and at the output side, you will get the flow of current I, or the induced voltage or power at the load side. Okay, but in case of motor, we have to supply the electrical energy at its input side, such that you will get the torque or speed at its output. So a DC machine is an electromechanical energy conversion device. The working principle of a DC machine is when the electric current flows through the coils. Okay, these are the coils, these are the coils, these are also coils through which the electric current will flow, and that will set up the magnetic field, and the magnetic field force generates a torque T, that rotates the DC motor. Okay, so rotation will happen in case of yeah, if there are some rotating parts in the machine. So obviously in any DC machine there will be rotating part, where whether it is a DC generator or a DC motor, rotating parts will be there, such that there will be the flux cutting, and you will get d phi by dt means variation of flux with respect to time, and hence induced EMF will be there. And due to that, because of Fleming's left hand or right hand rule, you will get torque and speed as the mechanical form of energy. Okay, then the DC machine will be of two types, generator and motor, obviously, and the main function of the DC generator is to convert the mechanical power to a DC electrical power, whereas a DC motor converts DC power to mechanical power. Okay, then how it is different from the AC motor. AC motor is generally used in industrial applications for altering electrical energy to mechanical energy. But we use generally we use DC motor when we want to have speed regulation, means from lower speed to higher speed. If we want to have different variations, then obviously we will go for the DC motor only. But for the other applications, generally we prefer AC motors. So that is the thing. Now coming to the construction part of DC machines. So these are the common things. Okay, what is yoke? This is the outer periphery relates to the yoke of the machine. What is the yoke? This is the this is used to offer mechanical support intended for poles and protects the entire machine from moisture, dust, etc. Okay, so this frame is used to just protect the machine from the environmental conditions. Then next is pole shoes. These are the poles. Okay, these are the magnetic poles, and this is called as pole shoe, just to enlarge the pole portion. Okay, so what is a pole shoe? The pole shoe in the DC machine is an extensive part as well as to enlarge the region of the pole. Okay, this is the pole shoe, just to use the enlarge the region of pole. Next, pole and pole core. The pole of the DC machine is an electromagnet such that we will be able to generate the magnetic field by applying the electric current. And the field winding is the winding among the pole. As you can see that the field windings are wound in the poles such that you will apply the field current through this winding IF, and hence the flux will be set up in the machine like this. Okay, then you will get north pole or south pole according to the direction of the field windings. Then field windings, what are the field windings? The windings that are wounded in the region of pole core and named as the field coil. Whenever the current is supplied through the field winding, then it electromagnetics the poles which generate required flux, means the poles will be used to generate the required flux. Okay, when we supply the field winding current, that is the IF, such that phi F will be generated in the machine, and that's why we call poles as electromagnets. Then what is the armature core? Armature core, this is the armature, this one. In the armature core, this is the iron core. Okay, that is the magnetic material that is used to set up the flux. So it includes a huge number of slots in four holes. You can see that sorry, in the armature, yes, you can see that there are different slots. Okay, in which two dots are there now. So these are the armature windings. Okay, armature windings are used to collect the current, and induced EMF will be there across the terminals of these windings, armature windings. So this is the heart of the machine. Okay, in which uh, induced EMF will be there, and these are called as armature conductors, and the complete structure is called armature. That is the heart of the machine. Okay, so armature core has number of slots within its edges. Okay, and the armature conductor is located in these slots. It provides the low reluctance path towards the flux generated with the field winding, means it supports the magnetic flux that are generated through the field winding, as it is made up of iron material, and that's why it will support the magnetic flux because it is a magnetic material. Next, what is the armature winding? These conductors will form the armature winding like this. Armature winding like this. So the armature winding can be formed by interconnecting the armature conductors. Okay, whenever an armature winding is turned with the help of prime mover, then the voltage as well as magnetic flux then gets induced within it. One flux was there due to the field winding, and the other flux will be there if we get induced voltage across the armature winding, such that there will be the flow of armature current, and because of the armature current there will be the armature flux. Okay, AR, armature flux will be there, and phi F and phi AR will be in same direction or in the opposite direction and based on that we will classify magnetization or demagnetization inside the machine. Okay, so these are the two phenomena. Then next is the commutator. Where is the commutator? These black colored parts are called as commutators. Okay, what is the function of it? The main function of the commutator in the DC machine is to collect the current from the armature conductor as well as supplies the current to the load using the brushes. Where are the brushes? The brushes are attached to this commutator, okay, such that we will be able to collect the current, and this current will be given to the load using the brushes, okay. And what are the brushes? Brushes in the DC machine gather the current from the commutator and supply it to the exterior load. One thing I wanted to tell you that the induced EMF will be of alternating in nature, okay. But this is the DC machine, so we want to have the DC voltage and current like this. If it is VDC, so obviously it should be constant with respect to time, but the induced EMF is of alternating in nature like this. So how to get this waveform using that waveform? And because of that, we need to use what? Commutator. That is the function of the commutator. Commutator will convert the AC induced voltage into a fixed DC voltage. So that will be done by the commutator, and we will collect the current using the brushes, and brushes are connected with the commutator. So these are the basic things in a DC machine, and these are the parts of any DC machine, okay. Then coming to generated EMF equations, okay. One thing I wanted to tell you that the induced EMF will be there in both the cases, means in DC motor and in DC generator also. So in case of DC generator, that will be the induced EMF will be what? Generated EMF, because we are getting electrical energy at its output side. But in case of the motor, we are applying the electrical energy at the input side of the motor, and hence there will be induced EMF, and that is called as back EMF, because the back EMF will oppose its cause, okay. So there will be induced EMF in both the cases, and their equations are same. So what is the EMF equation of a DC generator? This is the equation: Eg equals to P phi N Z divided by 60A. And in this case also EMF equation of a DC motor will be same, but we will call it as back EMF, and here this back induced EMF will be called as generated EMF. Okay, so what are these things? Z is the total number of the armature conductors. Okay, then P, what is the P? P is the number of poles in the generator. These values will be given in the question. What is A? It is the number of parallel lines within the armature. Means armature conductor will be connected like this. They will, first of all, they will form the coils. Okay, these are the coils, and these coils will be connected in this fashion, or this is called as parallel connection. Sometimes these will be connected in series also, so these are called as series connections, okay. So A is the number of parallel lines within the armature, so A value will also be given in the question. Then N is the rotation of the armature in RPM. RPM is the unit of the speed. Okay, then E is the induced EMF in any parallel line within the armature, and EG is the generated EMF in any one of the parallel line. And by 60 is the number of turns per second. And is what? Number of turns of the coils. Okay, and n by 60 is the number of turns per second, and the time for one turn will be dt equals to 60 by n second. And phi is what? Flux, magnetic flux, that will be measured in terms of Weber. Now in both the cases, you please remember this thing. In the question they can give wave types of winding or lap type of winding. In case of wave winding of the armature conductors, A will be 2. Okay, means number of parallel paths will be 2. But in case of lap winding, Number of parallel paths will be equal to the number of poles inside the machine. So these are the basic things of any DC machine, and in today's class means at 9 p.m. we will continue with the formula related to DC machines. Okay. So this is over for today's session. Next we will study at 9 p.m. Thank you so much. I am disconnecting the class. Okay, we will meet at 9 p.m. Thank you.
To watch the complete video, download Mining Gyan 2.0 app from the Play Store and enjoy seamless learning with Mining Gyan 2.0.